Hey, what's up, Milkies? It's Joe from Milkmaster with another episode of Making Bad Content to Juke Our Algorithm. Today we're trying something new. This is a long form bad content video. That's right. I've been seeing that some people like those videos where we all kind of sort of stare at a DAW for a while some jerk talks about how good he is at mixing. And so I thought I would do a video where I talk about how good I am at mixing. Um, yeah, this is bad content. It's going to be unedited. I'm going to say some dumb stuff. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to repeat myself and lose my train of thought sometimes. And y'all are just going to have to go with it because that's how we do. That's right. I'm going to take you through the mix and pick up the pieces. In all honesty, I think maybe some people out there will be able to learn some things from my approach to a mix, and I'm also hoping that some people will send me some messages or make comments or whatever about things that I can do to improve. And also, like, if you live in the Baltimore area, I'm hoping that some of y'all will watch this and then think, hey, Milkmaster, they freaking rock. Let's see one of their shows. And we play a lot, so you should come out and see us play. In fact, October 12th, we are playing at Zen West at the annual Frankenfest Fest. And then October 18th, this is all in 2025 if you're watching this later, but October 18th at the Auto Bar, which should be really cool. It's my first time playing at the Auto Bar. I'm from Chicago. I haven't played a lot of Baltimore shows, but I'm told that the Auto Bar is pretty cool. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. We're going to go through this mix kind of as in summary because I was originally trying to do this very detailed, and I was talking for 20 minutes and hadn't got past the kick drum. So we're going to do this quickly, and let's go for it. This is Pick Up the Pieces. We're going to start with the kick drum, because that's usually where I start. Somebody yelled at me once for not starting with the overheads first. It was a teacher of mine, and I said, yes, sir, I will always start with the overheads. And look at me, I still start with the kick drum. Tom Miller, if you are watching this, I am sorry, but this is just how I do. And we'll move on. Anyway, we recorded the kick drum with 3 different mics. We had a mic inside the kick, a mic outside the kick, and then a sub kick outside the kick. The sub kick is, for those of you that don't know, is this it's like a speaker that Yamaha makes, but it's wired as a microphone instead. It's like a 6-inch or an 8-inch speaker, something like that, and it's really good at picking up like ultra low frequencies. Put it in front of a kick drum, and oh my god, you can get some really cool, beefy low end that kind of gets your subwoofer going. Anyway, let's take a listen to the kick in first. And I'm going to show you the EQ curve that I used as we listen. Let's listen first. Here we go. Ooh, that's the whole song. This is the kick drum. Now, 2 things you'll notice. There's a lot of bleed. And it sounds like trash. Let's address the bleed first. Bleed in your drum mics is inevitable, so just roll with it. Who cares? The whole point is making the drums sound good as a whole, so just let your bleed be bleed. Whatever. Number 2, like I said, it sounds like trash, but remember, we are doing a composite. We're making our kick drum out of 3 different sources, or 3 different microphones on the same source, I should say, and so we can use the important parts of each one to make a cool sounding bass drum. So in this kick-in situation, I am going for the beater sound, that kind of click that's going to help it punch through the mix once we have guitars and bass and vocals and organ in there. So I am jacking up that 3K quite a bit, 6 dB, because that's where the beater sound lives. I'm also getting rid of some of the 500 hertz. This is something I do on a lot of drums because guitar and the higher end of bass and the first kind of overtones of your vocals if you're a dude are at around 500 hertz, and some of the fundamental frequencies of a female voice are around can be around 500 hertz, and so like you don't need that in the drums because you're gonna get it elsewhere. So like you can get rid of some of that. Anyway, let's listen to that one more time. Yeah, that's nice. As far as compression goes, use it. I use it pretty heavily on bass drums, as you can see. 8-to-1, holy crap. Medium release, medium attack. 1176 kind of deal from Waves. Sounds pretty nice. Now let's go to the kick out. You're going to see the kick out. I actually do the opposite that I did with the kick in. I'm actually cutting that 3K area quite a bit, almost 9 dB. That's because I'm getting the beater sound from the kick in, so I don't need to get it from the kick out and can focus on what I want from the kick out. And that's kind of like the warmth and the lows, but not the super lows. The thing that actually makes it sound like a bass drum. So little boost at the higher end of the low end. The higher end of the low end. Right. Around 150 hertz for this particular mic and bass drum combination. And again, doing some cuts around 500 hertz because I don't like how it sounds in a bass drum. If we solo this up, it's going to sound really lame. If this was your only mic on your bass drum, you would not want to do this. But because we're combining it with the kick in, ooh, it's going to sound real nice. Listen to this now, the punch. Yeah, that's starting to sound dirty. The last thing we do is add a little bit of this sub kick. The EQ curve isn't that interesting. I'm just like, give me some low end and put it in. But don't give me all the way to 20 hertz because, I don't know, I don't like my speakers moving at 20 hertz and whatever. I probably could have left that in. It's just habit. I cut low end from every single one of my tracks because I don't like it all to build up at the end. So anyway, but if we listen to all of this combined... That is one nasty kick drum. I think this is why I start with the kick drum, because I like my whole rock mix to be centered around punching people in the chest, and so if you start with something else, you're gonna feature that more, or at least I do. So that's why I always start with the kick. Anyway, let's move on. Take a quick listen to the snare in isolation. I did 2 different rounds of EQ on this. The first was filtering, but then there was this ring in the snare drum, and I actually want to show you this without anything else in, so you can get an idea of what I was listening for. You can see I made a notch at 550 hertz, and the reason for that, I'm gonna disable this, is this. Listen. Yeah. So it's a little hard to notice, but there's this frequency in there that's like going like oop, oop. Yeah, that's my voice kind of mimicking that frequency there. If I turn this up, if I do the opposite of notching it, you're gonna hear that very, very clearly. Let me re-enable the plugin. Yeah, that right. So if we turn it off now, yeah, if we get rid of it, we're gonna get more of that kind of like spanky sound. Honestly, we're losing a little bit of body when we do that, but we're not listening to the snare in isolation. This has to sit in a mix with guitars and bass and drums. So like a little bit of a thinner sound, like it's not a big deal. Little compression, obviously. I like to use the Waves H comp. I don't know. It's got a sound. I'm used to it. That's what I use. And then our other EQ is just a little bit of turning up the stick. uh, the crack of the snare drum a little bit, and you can hear what this sounds like now. Yeah, that's got some whack to it. Now, if we listen to the bottom snare, what did I do to that? I don't even remember. We did a little opposite style mixing. I turned the stick up, the crack up on the snare top, and so I'm turning the crack down on the snare bottom. But then I am turning up the higher part of that, because the snare bottom, what we're really trying to do is get the snares, and then again, of course, some compression and some filtering, get rid of that ultra low stuff in isolation. Oh, that's nasty. But if we combine it, still kind of nasty. I guess I'm using that snare bottom as an effect. But when we combine this with the full drum kit, it's gonna sound pretty cool. Want to talk briefly about like reverb and delay and crap like that. So I never put reverb on my kick drums, on my on my kicks. But I do on my snare, because I like it to sound like it was recorded in a room. And let's see if I can get Logic to show. Yes, this is the reverb I use. I've been using it for 15 years. Maybe not 15, 10 years and change, back when I worked at Scientific Games as a slot machine slot machine composer and engineer and mixer. I got hip to this Valhalla Room plugin, and I just fell in love with it. It's like, first of all, I love the interface because everything's super big and I'm blind. But also just, I don't know, something about the sound of this digital reverb somehow sounding so natural, and also not using a lot of CPU, so that if I want to, I can use a bunch of these. And I've just always had great luck with it, and now I still use it to this day. So, yeah, put this on the snare, and I made it fairly wet, but that is, and you can make your snares fairly wet, because you're going to be putting a lot of other instruments in. It's going to mask some of that reverb, and you want to hear it a little bit. I never recommend having a super dry snare in like a big rock song, something like funk or something like that. Different story, but yeah, I don't know. Why don't we listen without the reverb real quick, so you can just see the difference that it makes. Just makes it interesting, sounding like it's been recorded in a room. Now on the snare bottom, I also put a little bit of put a delay on there. Did I put a delay on there? No, I did not. I swear I did. I guess I didn't. Oh, this is going to some delay. That's right. Yes, my snare bottom, I did a lot of things to it aside from just this EQ. Let me get rid of this send for a second, because this is actually going to bring up something interesting. Remember before when I said my snare bottom was super gross? That wasn't that EQ and compression that was doing that. That was this parallel processing that I was doing. So I'm sending I'm sending to this Decapitator plugin from Soundtoys, and really nastying things up, because it's gonna cut through the mix later, right? So with right. And you'll hear in the full mix that's gonna sound really, really, really cool. And yeah, let's see. I'm sending to a delay. You can hear the delay. it's to get some early reflections into that snare drum. Now, let's hear the snare and the kick kind of together, so you can get an idea of where you kind of want things to sit together. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing. I have this parallel track of snare crush. I'm sending that's where I'm sending this snare bottom, isn't it? To the snare crush. Yeah, bus 7. And yeah, it sounds pretty nice. My wife is calling me. I'm just gonna text her and tell her I'm busy. Making a video. Yeah, you're getting this live. Making a video. Call you back soon. Anyway. I showed you the Decapitator plugin where we are destroying our snare drum, mixing that in a little bit. Let's move on. Toms aren't that interesting. Do some EQ, do some compression on them. Pan them. That's right. You want them to sound like when you play a fill that your drums kind of go around the stereo field a little bit. Yeah, we have this hi-hat mic. I always use it have one up just in case. Always ask for one. I've never actually used it. So that's muted. Let's look at our overheads. Overheads are really important to your snare drum, or sorry, to your drum set, because that is the thing that makes your whole drum set sound like a drum set. Let's listen to that in isolation with REQ and compression in. I always go for sparkle on my snare drum. This is something I learned in school from the great Tom Miller. So around 10K, I always crank that up a little bit. Yeah, I'm mixing out like a fair amount of low end here because that's getting taken care of by our kick drum. Yeah, once again, getting rid of some more 500 hertz. Little bit of compression, not too much. If we listen to this with the rest of our drum set, I'm going to get rid of the dick in the the dick mic in the room mic. We'll talk about dicks and rooms in a minute. You can hear kind of what the full drum kit sounds like. Oh boy. But we want to actually just hear the drums. That's starting to sound like a real drum set. Punchy and delicious. So we were talking about dicks and rooms. I'm going to laugh every time I say dicks and rooms. A dick mic is a microphone. Actually, I talked about it in a previous video if you guys watched my short video about dick mics. But a dick mic on a drum set is a microphone that you have pointing at the at the drummer's crotch on the opposite side of where the drummer is sitting. So kind of like it's like sitting just behind and above the kick drum, pointing at the penile or vaginal area of your drummer. It's a mono mic, and it just has an interesting sound to blend with everything else. And it can be kind of fun to throw some heavier-ish compression on there. You see I have like a 4.5 to 1 and a pretty heavy threshold on there. From an EQ standpoint, I'm just using it to get a little more snare sound, a little more interest. Let's listen in isolation. Let's see if we can find a cymbal, probably right at the beginning. Yeah, this is cool. If you only have like one channel to mic a drum set, like consider just doing a dick mic. Like that just sounds pretty natural and gnarly. And And then our room mic, it's always fun to do just like weird stuff to your room mics to like add some interest. I'm doing the classic all buttons in compression with an 1176 with a, super, super fast attack and a slow release. So it's just going to sound like, and I'm just kind of mixing some of that in to my whole drum set. So, and then with my fake Pultex that Logic comes with, just boosting some high end over here around 10-ish K, and not that interesting, but let's listen to it in isolation. Yeah, that's kind of a gnarly sound. And now let's listen to our drum bus all together, and you can hear kind of what what a full drum kit's supposed to sound like. Let me make sure that the sends are gonna play to snare and verb. Yes. Let's find some cymbals just right at the beginning. Hell yeah. I like the sound of that. I hope you do too, because that's what's on the record. It's not a record. That's what's on Spotify. Anyway, let's move on to the bass. That's the instrument I play. I have two different bass EQ tracks that I did because the song kind of takes a turn halfway through. For the jazzy part of the song, wow, I didn't even use an amp sim on this. This was a DI recorded bass. I didn't use an amp sim, and one thing that's really cool to do with bass is you want to use a lot of compression because the bass has bass players, or at least me as a bass player, and a lot that I know, don't have like great control over the volume of their bass, and it's not really their fault. It's because when the strings get sort of close to the pickups, sometimes you get these weird volume spikes, and so it's really important to use a decent amount of compression on them to kind of control those volume spikes. So you can see, well, my ratio actually isn't that much, but my threshold is pretty pretty heavy at -30. So like we're engaging that compression quite often. And for an EQ, this is pretty common what I do on bass to just try to get like a nice round sound. This is more of a jazzy thing. Get rid of some of the high end because we don't need it. And there was something nasally going on. There must have been with the bass. Actually, let's disable that and kind of see what it sounded like. Woo! With the bass. Yeah, let's throw the EQ in now. That sounds smooth and jazzy. Let's hear that with the drums. Yeah, now there's always a question like, should your kick drum be the lowest thing in the lowest in timbre thing in the mix, or should your bass be the lowest timbre thing in the mix? And I'm always back and forth depending on the song. Usually I'm a bass should be the lowest timbre thing, and the kick drum should be providing the click and whatnot. But in this song, I went with the opposite because it's more of a jazz kind of a thing, and so I want the I just don't want a walking bass line to be like super low endy. That's just kind of gross. So I went with the bass drum providing all the super lows. So I'm going to switch to the mix view from now on because as we solo and unsolo more things, it's going to be easier to do that. the end of the song turns into like kind of like a heavy metal kind of a thing. I don't need to dwell on it too much, but I did say I have this other bass track. Here's where I'm using an amp sim, and I have to say that Logic's amp sims are awesome for bass. They just did a really good job. I was going for some grit on this thing, so I put like a fake distortion pedal on there with the drive cranked, and I have this amp sim. This is like a fake Ampeg, like old school B15 kind of thing. And if we listen to that, what that sounds like, if I can find it, it's somewhere over here. That sounds gnarly. Let's get rid of the drums for a second. Oh, we're still not there. Sorry for having the snare sends in there, but that's a Logic thing. This bass, I just went hard on the fuzz. Here's the drums back in. Yeah, love the sound of that. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to try to do the guitars quickly. The guitars, I didn't do that much to. I just kind of let them sound great. Recorded the guitars at home. Used two different mics. Used an SM57, an old Studio Projects large diaphragm condenser, and then took a DI, which I didn't use very often. Let's start with the rhythm guitar. For the beginning, it's a clean sound, just some EQ on there. I almost never used compression on guitar because they always sound kind of compressed already because of like the tubes and all the other stuff that they're going through. So yeah, and you can see here I'm just kind of making room, thinning them out a little bit, making room for the vocals to sit in there. But let's like kind of give a listen. Yes, those are the guitars. I like to do some little like delay and reverb on like mono guitars that are panned one way to kind of like even out the mix, and you can kind of hear that going on. If we look at our like rhythm guitar delay settings, what was feeding that? 4 and 5. Let's find our rhythm guitar delays. 4, we have this delay that's panned opposite. You see I panned the guitars, the rhythm guitars left. I have the other guitars right, or the delay to the right to kind of make things even. And then I have a fake spring reverb on there to make some sounds, you know. All right, let's hear that now with the drums and the bass. You can kind of hear we're starting to make a mix out of it. This is going really long, so we're gonna keep on rocking here. Let's get over to the chorus of this song now. Let's see where that starts. And you can hear the next guitar go in. That's the rhythm. Let's go to the chorus. This isn't a chorus effect. This is the chorus of the song, my friends. Here we go. The chorus right here. You can see, again, I combined the two guitars. Now you can see I bust these together, the two guitars, and yeah, did I really? This isn't the lead. This is the lead. Yeah, this is the chorus lead. Right. And I bust these two together. And I actually did put a little bit of a phaser on there. I can't even remember why I did that. But yeah, that's giving it a little bit of that scream kind of a sound. Let's hear it without. Yeah, just a little bit of interest there. Keep things kind of nice. And then of course a little reverb action. Yeah, why don't we move on to the chorus rhythm. This is a nice one. This is starting to get pretty long. I'm going to go even faster. Chorus rhythm. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Where is it? I'll just solo it up right here. That's the DI. Where's our rhythm? See, I just used the studio projects on this. As far as EQ goes, still just thinning stuff out for our vocals to sit in there. You know, this is where all of the higher fundament or the first overtones of our voice, as well as you know, this 1K area. That's where the consonants and, well, actually it's where vowels are made. Right, and so we want to get rid of some of that from the guitar and other areas so that you can hear the vowels coming from the vocalist when we put them in. Yeah, and then you can see I have these panned opposite my other rhythms so that we get a nice full chorus sound. One more time. Very nice. Very nice. Now then, what do we have here? There's a lead, because there's a guitar solo. Mixing guitar solos, man, is not... There are so many options all the time, and I never know what I'm going to do until we're in it. And honestly, I don't remember what I did in this. It looks like not a whole lot. I think the sound of this guitar solo just ruled right out of the gate. So I wish I could say something interesting other than sometimes you don't have to do a lot and it just sounds good. Yeah, right? Sometimes the tone is fine and just don't touch it. Like, listen to this. That's not it. That's not the solo. So don't listen to me there. Where is our solo? Where's our lead? God, Logic. I get lost in there sometimes. Here it is. Yes. Yeah, so you can see I didn't do a whole lot, like a little bit of changes here and there, just to sit in the mix. But yeah, when I disabled these things, like, I don't know, it sounded fairly the same. So you know, like, that's just to show, like, you don't have to do much, just some reverb. Other times you want to do a little more. Sometimes I'll add a little like stereo chorusy kind of a thing, just to kind of like get it right out of the very center, so it's not smacking you right between the eyeballs. But in this case, yeah, just some reverb. Sounded pretty gnarly. Okay, we're almost through, my friends. If you're still watching this video, holy shit, thank you for doing that. I would be out by now. But you know, thanks if you're not. Let's get into the outro. Honestly, the outro is just freaking chaos. And it's just a lot of heavy guitars that I just made really low in the mix and panned opposite each other so it sounded really full. I think what I'm going to do in the interest of time is not show you each one. Maybe I will show you just a few so you can kind of hear how I like to make heavy things. So why don't we go back to our edit window here and go to the end, and I can show you how you like stack heavy rhythm, how I stack heavy rhythm guitars quickly, and then we'll wrap this up. So yeah, we have our end chords and everything. Let's start with the one that I have panned left. I don't even remember which one this is. Oh, that's the end chord, literally the end chord. Okay. Let's go back and find the outro rhythms. Yes. Here we go, the outro rhythm guitar here. So here's the 57. And I'm going to pull up the EQ curve. Not a whole lot, just a little bit of carving out the highs and lows. I'm wondering if you guys are hearing things panned the reverse way that I'm saying they are, because I sure am. But maybe my headphones are in backwards or something. But anyway, yeah, this is the main sound that I'm going for. I combine that a little bit with the studio projects. Now my wife is home. I'm still making a video. So I'm just going to do a quick shout. Bear with me, everybody. Finishing up a video. Okay. Man, this is bad content at its finest. So let's move over now to the 57 or to the stuff that's panned the other way. We're going to solo that up. And yeah, that's kind of the lower side of things. Now, if we combine these things into one, you'll hear how we can get a nice thick sound. Those are two separate guitar takes, by the way, but he's just playing the same thing with two different tones. Hell yeah, that's nice and fat. And now, if we put in the whole thing, with our leads and everything, you can kind of hear how we ended the tune. Okay, real quick, heavy guitar lead stuff. You don't need to do a whole lot. Just put some reverb on it. And then if you're doing guitar harmonies, which I like to do, pan one a little bit over a little bit and mix the harmony just a little darker, and you'll have a nice natural sounding guitar harmony thing. You can see I have some organ in the song. It's really not that interesting. We're not going to go into it. Finally, our vocals, because we need some vocals. I like to put effects on vocals sometimes. In this case, I really dirtied them up. Mostly because I thought it sounded kind of silly and we're kind of a silly band, and it also really fit. So, how did I do that? Not that hard. Little compression, actually, that didn't do much to it. It's really in... Wow, I didn't do it with EQ either. Oftentimes you would do this as with like the telephone way, where you just like mix out all the high end and mix out all the low end. You're just left with kind of a bandpass thing. It sounds like talking on an old telephone. I didn't do it that way. I did it with an amp sim to get it dirty, right? If we get rid of this. Yeah, all the grit, in this case, coming from the amp. And then to kind of get that like old school sound, I did kind of like a slap back kind of old thing with my Echo Boy, kind of how Elvis and whatnot kind of sounded. And that's really it. I'm not going to take you through the whole song. We don't have to listen to it here because it's on Spotify. Stream it there, you jerks. And anyway, that is some very bad content, and I hope you all enjoy. Come see me in the next video. I will probably never do this again unless I get a lot of streams. The algorithm is juked hard. And see me in the next, hopefully, short video. Stream our stuff, and come to one of our shows. See ya.